Hello Heavy Metal Maidens and Masters, I'm Heavy Metal Mama and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different and it's something that has been very requested, and that is I'm doing some spooky Halloween baking. In particular, we are going to bake some Victoria sandwich zombies and we're going to bake some, well, they're called chocolate drops. They're basically chocolate shortbread type cookies with little spider webs on them. Now, this is a long video, I'm afraid. It was either basically me reel off some ingredients and a few shots of me stirring some stuff, or I would properly show you how to do the baking. So I have properly shown you how to do the baking. It's a long one, so let me know in the comments whether or not this interests you, or whether you find this utterly boring and you never want me to do anything like this again, or whether you would like a seriously abridged version. I don't know how this is going to go down. I don't know what you guys are going to like, so let me know down in the comments. I hope you enjoy this. It's going to be good fun. They are interesting. And yeah, on with the video. Today we are making zombie Victoria sandwiches and spiderweb chocolate cookies. So join me while I bake these yummy treats. First we're going to do is we're going to bake the zombie Victoria sponges. So I'm turning my oven on. There we go, I've set it to about 180 degrees. And now we're ready to start. So I have taken, this is a flapjack tin, and I have already lined it with some greaseproof paper. I've just covered it and snipped the edges so it fits nicely. Now we're going to grease this tin. This stops the cake from sticking to the tin and makes it nice and easy to get out. Now to grease the tin, I'm just going to use some of the baking margarine that I'm going to use to bake the actual cake. So this is the open one. We've got some baking marg. I've got an old piece of greaseproof. Whenever I bake anything and it's a strange shape, you know, a round cake or anything like that, I keep all of the offcuts in a little drawer, and then you've got greaseproof paper to do your baking, your greasing with. If not, just use a food bag or just use your fingers and then give them a wash. Now I've already got a bowl of hot soapy water all ready to go over there so I can keep cleaning things as I go. I'm going to grease this tin thoroughly. There we go. Ta-da! One tin thoroughly greased. Now, my son loves a Victoria sponge. It's the traditional British baked cake, and my local village, we have a horticultural show every year, and not this year, sadly. I was a bit busy with London Edge, so my baking wasn't up to standard, but the previous years to that I have won the Victoria sponge competition, I think 3 years in a row, so I know how to bake a Victoria sponge, although still not as good as my mother. Right, I'm going to put my apron on. You wait, this is a treat. Bet you weren't expecting that, were you? Look like a Stepford wife. There we are. Ta-da! Right, so we are making a 6 ounce mixture. So when you're making a Victoria sandwich, it's called a pound cake. So we are doing 6 ounces of butter, 6 ounces of sugar, 3 eggs and 6 ounces of flour. So we're not using butter, we're using baking marg. You can use butter if you want, or an equivalent vegan marg. I just like baking margarine for Victoria sponges. It seems to work best. So hang on, we are in grams. Oh, there we go. That's 2 ounces. I need more. So I want 6 ounces. 6 ounces of butter, my trusty sieve. You don't have to sieve it, it's just if it gets wet, it tends to get a little bit lumpy. And it does help incorporate air if you sieve stuff, especially the flour. And you want a light and fluffy Victoria sponge. 6 ounces. Right, we are going to cream the baking margarine and the sugar together using my electric whisk. I apologise for the noise. Okay, the one thing with baking is everybody goes, there, it's mixed. Yeah, it is mixed. But if you're making a Victoria sponge, you want it to be light and fluffy. And the way to get it light and fluffy is to beat the bejesus out of it, which means that I'm going to beat this considerably longer than I've already beaten it, even though the sugar and the marg are now mixed together, because that gets air into it, which gives you a light and fluffy texture. So we're going to put a little bit of vanilla extract in, about half a cap. Don't really want to be able to taste it, just want to get it just want it to mellow the flavour. Right. Now I'm going to scrape down the bowl. And now I'm going to beat it some more. Okay, now we're going to add the eggs. So 3 eggs that I have here. 1, 2, 3. Right, the main thing with baking is you can mix everything as much as you like when you're making a cake until you add the flour. As soon as you put flour in, the molecules in the flour make gluten. So the more that you mix it once you've added the flour, the tougher the gluten fibres become. So you can mix the bejesus out of your cake when you've just got sugar and butter and eggs. And if you're doing a chocolate cake, you've got cocoa or nuts. But you always add the flour last, and once you add the flour, you are on the clock. You want to mix it so that it is combined, but you don't want to produce lots of gluten fibres, because the gluten fibres are tough and they stop your cake rising and they make it taste rubbery and unpleasant. That's what gives you a tough, rubbery cake. So we're going to mix this, and we're going to mix this and mix it and mix it some more, and then when you think you've done enough, we're going to mix it some more. Oh, come undone. There, ready? You'll be able to see the mixture. You'll be able to see the mixture getting lighter. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I've got the oven preheating to 180 degrees C. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I don't use Fahrenheit. So that when we put the cake in, the oven is already hot. At the moment, this is 6 ounces of sugar, 6 ounces of baking margarine, and 3 eggs. I mean, if you want, you can just chuck them all in at the same time and just mix them. I find you get a better cake if you do them one at a time. Okay, if you look at this, can you see that here, this is significantly more yellow than this? It's because this has been got up the side of the bowl, and I haven't been able to incorporate it, so I use my spatula to get it all back in the middle of the bowl. Scrape it off with the spatula. And we mix again. And we're going to do the same again. We're going to scrape it down the sides, and then we're going to give it another mix. Okay, I would say that is done. I want my cup of tea. Cheers. So far we have 6 ounces of baking margarine, 6 ounces of caster sugar, 3 eggs. Now we're going to add the flour. This is where we're on the clock. Got an old thin flour. And this is where we definitely want the trusty sieve. This incorporates air into the cake as well. If you haven't got a sieve, it doesn't matter. Most flour is sieved. I just find it, if you've got one, it really pays to use it. Oh. we're going to 0. There we are. And we want 6 ounces of flour. Tap the sieve out. Never wash your sieve, just tap it out. Unless it gets something wet on it, don't wash it. Right, now I'm not going to turn this on to begin with, I'm just going to use the beaters as a spoon. Right, I'm going to give it one quick blast and then it's going in the tin. Right, I'm going to use the spatula to get it all off the sides. Scrape it back in. I don't want any unincorporated flour, that would be really, really unpleasant. One quick blast. Yeah, that's it, done. So now I've got my tin. I'm gonna put it into the flapjack tin. I think this is just going to be exactly the right amount actually. So what I'm doing here is I'm pushing it to the edge of the tray, but I'm not flattening it because you don't want to flatten the air out of it. All I want to do is move it across the tray. I don't want to get rid of any of that precious air that I have incorporated into it. It will to a degree melt, so you don't have to worry about getting it right into the corners. But you don't just want to leave it in a big lump in the middle either. So if you were making what I would call a traditional Victoria sandwich, you would use 2 8-ounce tins, that is the WI gold standard. You would want between 10 and 12 ounces of mixture, so you would want 6 eggs, 12 ounces of butter, 12 ounces of sugar, 12 ounces of flour. And you would line round tins. So this is now going to go in the oven at, well, it's set at 180. I'm going to turn it down to 160 because my oven runs quite hot. And I'm going to put it in there for about 12 minutes. I'm going to just keep a very close eye on it. Now, I can hear you saying, how is that flat cake going to become zombies? With my zombie cookie cutters. So, when it's baked, we're going to cut out little zombie shapes. So, we are now going to make chocolate drop cookies. I love these cookies. These are so easy to make. I make these like whenever anybody comes over. You don't even need a food processor or food mixer. So for this one, I need 4 ounces of butter. Yeah, so I've had this out the fridge about an hour just to soften. 4 ounces of butter, 2 ounces of caster sugar, and about a cupful of vanilla extract. Okay. And this, you just use a spoon and just cream it together. So we want ½ ounce of cocoa powder. This we will want to sieve. And 3½ ounces of plain flour. So for Victoria sponge I use self-raising flour. For these biscuits I use plain. If you've only got self-raising flour, just use self-raising flour. I have both. Okay, and now you just mix again. That's it with the weighing. Now, sometimes, it kind of depends how soft the butter is, yeah. It just needs a tiny little bit of milk. So this is the full fat milk I give the children. There we are, that's probably 2 tablespoons worth. Just a little glug. There we go. Yeah, it just makes it that much easier to mix. Obviously, if you're making these vegan, so you're using vegan baking margarine, you're not going to want to add milk. But I suppose you could add almond milk or something. That'd be quite nice. There we go. There, and then it starts to get the consistency of like really thick icing. think this just needs a drop more milk. If you can see, it's quite stiff. I'm struggling to work with it, so I'm just going to put, there we go, a teeny little bit more in. It's just a dribble. There we go. It's just making it that much easier to work with. There we go. And look, as you can see, it just looks like thick chocolate icing, but it's cookie mix. So it depends how big you want these cookies as to how many cookies it makes, basically. So I've got an oven tray here. I've put a bit of greaseproof paper on it. You don't need to grease this or anything. It's literally just put it on the greaseproof paper. So you're going to use teaspoons for this because otherwise you tend to make the cookies too big. One final mix. Scoop it all into the middle of the bowl. Now, you can just eat it like this, it's really good. But we want delicious cookies, so you take a big teaspoonful. See, that much? A big teaspoonful. And you plop it on your baking sheet. There we go. Big teaspoonful, because they spread out loads. This is essentially a really, really short shortbread, because shortbread is just flour, sugar and butter. I should be able to get 12 on here. A bit more. I might have one left. Oh, no, 12. So that amount of mixture made 12 decent sized cookies and a bit for the bowl licking. Because, you know. You wait till they're cooked, even better. So, I'm going to have a look at our Victoria sponge. Ooh. Now, I've got a cake tester here. Yep. So, I just poked it and saw if the cake tester came out clean, which it did. I'm going to pop that on the wire rack for a minute. Right, I'm going to put our cookies in. Cookies want about 8 minutes. I definitely find with the Victoria sponge to just keep looking at it. So if you look, it's a lovely golden colour. It's bouncy. And like I said, look, I put it in and it comes out clean. Right, we're going to give that just a minute or so because it's very hot. And then we're going to turn it out and let it cool down. And when it's completely cold, we're going to cut out the zombie shapes. So the cookies will definitely be ready first. Now it's time to tidy up. Okay, so we're going to turn out the Victoria sandwich. I've got plastic flexible cake board. I'm going to turn it over. And look. Came out beautifully. Oh, nearly. There we go. So that is on a wire rack, which means that it will cool. nicely. And then, when it's cool, we can get our zombie cookie cutters out and cut out some little zombies so that we've got zombie shaped Victoria sponges. So we're going to get them out the oven. Okay, if you look, a little bit springy on top, just a teeny bit, but they're nice and set. So we're going to give them a second. Just going to move this here and let them cool. Oh yeah, there we go. So, can you see the deliciousness? The deliciousness. I'll do a better angle in a minute. We're going to put them on a cooling rack because you have to wait for them to be absolutely stone cold before we can ice them, because otherwise you'll just melt the icing and it'll all just drip off. They're really good. And that's taken me about 20 minutes from start to finish. 10 minutes cooking, probably less than 10 minutes to make actually. Took me longer to set up for you guys. So I'm going to leave these. I'm going to cook everybody dinner and then I'm going to ice and jam after that. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so we have let the cookies cool down. We have let the Victoria sponge cool down. We're going to make the icing first before the cookies. We don't need a lot. All we're doing is little spider's webs on them, so we really don't need a lot. In fact, that bowl is too big. I'll use my little Hello Kitty bowl. Hello Kitty. So we just want maybe 3 tablespoons of icing sugar, not a lot, and a teeny tiny bit of warm water. Tiny bit. You really don't want much. There we go. Use the back of the spoon to get the lumps out. Keep stirring it, get all the lumps out. So there you go, you see? It's runny but not too runny. 1 food bag. And we want to fill it into 1 corner. So I'm just going to pour it into the corner of the bag. And get as much air out as possible and then tie it in a knot. It just makes it a bit easier. See? So look, I have a little ball of icing. Now, I'm going to get a pair of scissors and I'm going to make the teeniest, tiniest snip. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut off, you see this flap on the bottom of the food bag? I'm going to cut that off, because it's just going to get in the way. Right, and then, can you see? I'm going to snip it off. There we go. There. Cool. Right, ready? We're going to do a spiderweb design. One, cross, 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 and round and round and round. Round, round, go. And again, oh, and this should just be enough icing. Oh. There. I don't think you can see that particularly well, but there we are. As you can see, spiderwebs. Spiderwebs. We have our cool Victoria sponge now. There we go. We have our 3 cutters. They're a bit awkward shape-wise. And we are just going to cut out the cake. You need 2 for each Victoria sponge. Push it right down, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And out it comes. There we go, we've got 1. There we are. And we'll do it again. There we are, there's another one. So, I'm going to keep going with those in a minute. I'm going to show you now how to make them into little Victoria sandwiches. Right, now, WI rules state it should always be raspberry jam. It should always be raspberry jam. So we have raspberry jam. I mean, if you want to, you can use strawberry. But if the WI says, now, the main thing with these is you want to put loads of jam in. Because, I mean, otherwise they're not going to be all squelchy. So, there we are. Lots of jam. Lots and lots of jam. And then we put him on top and we squeeze. And here you have a squelchy squelchy Victoria sponge zombie. These are our zombies. I'm going to put this one on there. And then we're going to put this one on here. Ta-da! And we have 5 Victoria sponge zombies. And a lot of leftover cake. Well, Heavy Metal Maidens and Masters, I don't want him to slide off the plate. What do you think? That's one of the zombies, and that's one of the cookies. The rest of the family have eaten the rest. So, it does not last long in this household, baked goods. So, personally, I prefer just making a round Victoria sponge and eating it, because there's not so much waste. There was so much waste. Well, it didn't go to waste. Me and Heavy Metal Hubby basically just got the pot of jam out and a spoon and covered all the bits of cake with jam and ate it like that. But, you know, it's not a refined way to eat a piece of cake. And I prefer the cookies without the icing on. I just think that the icing, it's not needed. It's a very, very intensely sweet taste that I don't think is as nice. My daughter did suggest using white chocolate, but I don't have any, so but yeah, so you could try doing that and piping white chocolate onto them instead, if you really, really want the spiderwebs. It might actually be better because it would have a thicker texture, but I just like to bake things that taste really nice. I don't really care what it looks like, but with it being spooky season, I thought I needed to give it a spooky spin. So yes, hence Victoria sandwich zombies and spiderwebs. But Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments what you thought. I would really like to know whether or not you enjoyed this kind of video. If you've made it to the end, then you obviously kind of enjoyed it, or you've got bored and not realised that the video is still playing. But I would like to know if you would like more videos like that, or if you would like this kind of thing, but not on this channel, because I do have another YouTube channel that has nothing on it, which is Cooking with Metalheads. It's there, it's got nothing on it yet, but I could do that as a separate cooking channel. So let me know your thoughts. I would really like to see your bakes. If you bake any of this stuff, tag me on Instagram in it. I would love to see your baking. Remember, people, to like, comment, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We might have hit 1,000 now. I was 5 off 1,000 when I made this, so we'll see. I might be at 1,000 now. Remember to hit that notification bell so you can find out whenever I upload. And remember, people, stay heavy and eat cake.